Section 7, Making Choices. I'm going to open it with a new tab. Again, Programming with Python, Making Choices. On the right here, I'm going to create a new Jupyter notebook and I'm going to name it Making 007, Making Choices. So let's see the content of this one. Question: how can my programs do different things based on data values? The objectives: write condition statements using if, else branches. Correctly evaluate expression containing and or. So I'm going to name is Making Choices with if, else, and or, and going to be Python3. Okay, so firstly this is overview. Second one should be condition. First one is gonna be checking our data. Next one is how many paths. Next is what is truth. Next is that's not what I mean. Not what I mean. And here is closing up. Here is in place operators, sorting a list into buckets, counting vowel. So I got a key points part there. Similar, I'm gonna capture the key points. I'm gonna put it from the beginning of my notebook. So the key points are: use if condition to start a condition statement, else if condition to provide additional tests, and else to provide a default. The bodies of branches of conditional statements must be indented. Use equal to test for equality. X and Y is only true if both X and Y are true. X or Y is true if either X or Y or both are true. 0. The empty string and the empty list are considered false, and other numbers, strings, and lists are considered true. True and false represent truth values. So we got from here overview. From the previous section, we used plotting and looping to go over different data files and plot the data out to see how the data behavior looks like, the data pattern, and looking for suspicious items and issues in the data. In this lesson, we want to learn how to write code to kind of automatically detect the special issue or event or characteristics of the data based on conditions. So in Python, we can use if to give condition for Python to help us to choose different actions based on the condition that we put in. So here's an example. We got num is 37. Then we use if num is more than 100. I'm gonna print out greater, and else we're gonna print out not greater. So finally we just print done, because this is the num is 37, so it's less than 100, so it's not greater. But if we put in 370, we're gonna got greater. So in the left here is a good explanation of how a if condition is working in, I think, almost all programming language, not only Python. So here we use else, but Actually, in Python script, we can write condition without using else. So for example, here we got similar, num is 53, and we print out before conditional. Then we put in if num is more than 100, then we print out num and is greater than 100. Then finally we print after condition. So you see that because num is less than 100 and this condition is false, so we just do nothing, there. So we can write, instead of using else, we can use else if, like this. So we got num is equal to -3 here, and then if num is larger than 0, we're gonna print out num is positive, and that condition is not working because num is less than 0. So else if num is equal 0, we print out num is 0, and finally we put in else, then we print out negative. So it's gonna be -3 negative now because none is -3. But if we put in num is 3, we got 3 and it is positive. So you see here, if we want to compare the equality, we need to use double equal sign. It's not single equal sign. So this is normally an issue of new Python user. We normally get this issue, but it's easy to fix. We can also using and or together with if condition. So here is an example. We got if 1 is more than 0, and we got -1 is more than 0 there. So if 1 is more than 0 and -1 is more than 0, this condition is absolutely wrong. So we're gonna print out both paths are true. So I'm gonna, instead of doing this, I'm gonna assign A, B is 1 and -1. So I'm gonna put in here A is and B. So both paths, or both, maybe A and B are true, and else I'm gonna print in at least one part is false. So I'm gonna put in here both paths are true. So I'm running. So here we got A is 1 and B is -1, and this one is wrong, so at least one part is false. But I got A is 1 and B is 2, and I'm printing it out, and I got at least both paths are true. So again, or is true if at least one part is true, but and is only true when both parts are true. So here is another example. We got if 1 is smaller than 0, or -1 is smaller than 0. Oh, just this is one. Copy the whole, but I just change the and by or, and now I'm gonna have no, it's confusing, sorry. So I got if 1 minus O, or -1 smaller than O, and I can print it out. At least one test is true. So I print it out. So I got at least one test is true, because one of them, we don't need both of them are true, we just need one of them is true. True and false in Python. So true and false are special words in Python called booleans, which represent truth values. A statement such as 1 smaller than 0 returns the value false. So like here, we're going to put in 1 smaller than 0, and we got false. While -1 is smaller than 0, it's going to be true. Checking our data. So we introduce some fundamental of how the condition works now. Now let's use that condition in Python to check some of the suspicious features in our data set inflammation data. To do that, we need to import numpy as np or import numpy. So from the previous section, we got that in a couple of the plots, we saw that the maximum daily inflammation exhibits a strange behavior and raises 1 unit a day. So how can we detect that using condition in Python? So here we got an example. We got maximum. So because I create a new notebook, Jupyter notebook here, so I need to read in data again. So basically the data here, I'm not sure which one he's using. So he's using the day 0 and day 20. So I'm gonna put in here I think day data day 0. It's gonna be np.load txt, and the file name is gonna be dot data, and info is gonna be that one, and the limiter is gonna be comma. So I need to import that data in first, and data day 20 is gonna be the same. I think so. I'm not sure. Day 20. Oh no, data set 1 we got 20 day in there, so I don't think so. So it's just a little bit different there. So actually it's gonna be the same but just different day. So I'm gonna get this 0 for the day 1, day 0, and I'm gonna write here 20, day 20 for the day 20 in the first CSV data set. So I got day 1, day 0 and day 20. It's confusing. It should be day 1, but this is right because the instruction using day 0, so I just follow as day 0. So we got here as if so we load data in, but we need to calculate the maximum inflammation in day 0. I think so. Oh, let's say no. Yeah, sorry, I make a mistake. So we got max inflammation 0 is gonna be np.max of day 0. No, it's just data. Sorry for that. Really confusing, isn't it? Just data. And the axis, of course, is 0 because we want to get it by horizontally, and we keep day by day. So we got it axis is 0, but we get the first element of it. And yeah, I want to see how it looks like. So it's gonna be 0 is the max data axis. So the max of the first point is 0, and then I'm gonna have similar day 20, and the max of day 20 is 20. So and I'm gonna print out. So like I'm gonna put in a condition that if max inflammation day 0 is 0 and max inflammation day 20 is 20, we should print out suspicious looking maxima. Yeah, because it's very weird. The day 0 is 0, day 1 maybe 1, day 20 20. It's kind of artificial. No, it's kind of artificial. I think artificial data, fake data. It's not natural data. Another example here we can do it. We can also use else condition to do that. So together in here we put in else together with the if. So if numpy sum of I like to chunk it down so it's easy for me to understand. So what you're gonna do here, you're gonna calculate the data mean, which is actually numpy.min of data, and the axis is 0. After we got that, I'm gonna calculate the data mean sum. It's gonna be just np sum of data mean. So now I can use else if data mean sum which is 0, which is very suspiciously. And I'm going to print out minima add up to 0, which is something weird. So we need to report it. Some kind of invalid syntax somewhere. So we got this else if there. It seems not working. We need to put it down there maybe. It's also not working. Let's see what happened to my code. So I'm gonna put it down there, up there, and we'll put it together. Okay, so it's working now. So you should not separate between else if and if statement by some other statement. And at the end we can also use else to give some more information, like else print seems okay, and we can print this out. So if this happens, it's gonna print out suspicious looking maxima, and it is. But if this happens, it's gonna print out the minimum add up to 0. And if none of these happen, it's gonna print out seem okay. But in this case, it's not okay, so it's print out this one. So let's test this out using a different example. So here we got data again loading in. So we got data loading in already. And okay, so just the same, just copy the code again. What happened to me? The location that the path is not there. For me is I put it in here and data and that in here. So I just edit the path location of my CSV file and it's gonna be working for me. So similar, it will show a suspicious looking maxima. That is for the inflammation 01 CSV. But if we run that one, the same question, the same code script, but instead of that we use the inflammation 03 CSV, we're gonna get minima add up to 0. And if we go to data and we open this, put in a side there, so the minima add up to 0 for this data set. Here we go. So we see that there is one day, all 0 value. So that's kind of strange. So it helps us to detect the problem, and we check the data and we found the problem here. That's useful. Next is how many paths. So we got this code. We just run it. So if 4 is greater than 5, print A, 4 is equal to 5, print B, and 4 is less than 5, print C, and this print C. So we got a challenge. Which of the following would be printed out if you would run this code? Why did it pick this answer? So of course we know that it's C because 4 is absolutely less than 5. Next is what is truth? So we got this Python script. Run it. So here we got if this one we print out empty string is true, so that means this is false. So we got this one is true, we got this one is true, and we got this one is true. So we got a word is true, it's not empty, it's true. We got a non-empty list is true, we got one number is true. So I can maybe edit the code a little bit. If not, I'm gonna print out false. Word is true, I know that. If not, I'm gonna print out false. That one non-empty list, that one 0 is 1 is true. So if not, I'm gonna print out false here. Let's see how it works. So we got an empty string is false, a word is true, an empty list is false, a non-empty list is true, a 0 is false, and 1 is true. So why we care about this? What is true, what is false? This is very useful when we write our code later, when we use condition. So we know the return value is true or false. So we know to control and handle our condition in our code. That's not what I mean. So we got an example here. So we, as an example I just showed before, we can put not in the boolean operation to make sure that, to check that if it is false or not. Instead of checking if it is true, we can check if it is false or not. So I can change it here that the use of not. That's very simple. So here, if not an empty list, I'm gonna print it true. So like that, I'm gonna print out not true, that means false. So if not a word, I'm gonna print out it word is not true. It not true. So it's interesting here. We got not true. Not true is true. So this is interesting, but you need to know that if we just put in not, so here not true is true, but you know, not true is returning false, but not true is true. Close enough. We got a challenge. Write some conditions that print true if the variable a is within 10% of the variable b, and false otherwise. Compare your implementation with your partners. Do you get the same answer for all possible pair sub numbers? Okay, so what we need to do is, so you got a variable a, maybe 10, variable b, maybe 20. So we write a if a is less than, just like 0.1 multiplied by b. So a is within 10% of b. We print out true. So we just print true. What happened when I print out true? Print true. I never do that before. That's interesting. Okay. So and else I'm gonna print false. So it's false. But if I change b to 200, I'm gonna get true. So we got so many solutions. Let's see how it is. So you got here. Okay, my solution is different. So let's see for the solution 1 how it works. We got a and b firstly, and we got the script here. So if absolute value of a minus b is less than 10% of absolute b, we're gonna print true, else we're gonna print false. If the variable a is within 10% of variable b, I don't know, a is within 10% of b, so that means like if a is 10, b is 100, a is kind of with 10% of b. It's interesting. It's returning true. I don't believe so. I don't think this answers the question. I don't think this is a good solution, but it's confusing, to be honest. So let me kick 100. Is false. So if write a condition print true if the variable is within 10% of the variable b. So that means it's within, it's less than 10 of variable b. Okay, anyway, that's the first solution. The second solution is even simpler. You just put in there your solution. That's so smart. For my solution, I think I can it's better for me to choose ABS. Why? Because it's gonna help me to deal with negative number. Yeah, so in case I'm gonna choose this 10 is still working. It's still working, so that's good. That's good to learn. Next is in place operators. So how the in place operator work? Here is an example. We got x is 1, and then we print out x. We got 1. Now we got x plus n 1. And we print out x. Here we add 1 into x. Now we got 2. So next is that we got x multiply equal 3. Actually we do multiply x by 3, and we can print out x here. So x is 1. We add 1 to, we got 2. We multiply by 3, we got 6. So that is in place operation. And now our final x is 6, but the beginning x is 1. We got a challenge here. Write some code that sums the positive and negative numbers in a list separately using in place operators. So we got a list. List 1 is equal to, for example, we got 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1, 2 minus 2, 3 minus 3. Got a list. What we need to do is we need to write a code that sums the positive and negative number in a list separate. So we got a condition if for item in list 1, we're gonna, if item is less than 0, we're gonna, so I would say I will define sum positives is equal 0 and sum negative is equal 0 here. So if item is less than 0, I'm gonna get sum negative and just plus equal item. And if and else, if item is more than or equal 0, so I consider 0 is positive. Is that true or maybe not true? maybe consider that, and else I'm gonna print out item is item. Yeah, I mean to see just to see how items look like. So if item is more than 0, I'm gonna get sum positive plus equal item, and finally I'm gonna print out sum positive and sum negative. So here we got sum positive, negative is -6, and sum positive is 6. It's true because we got 1, 2, 3, it is 6. So that's my solution, and let's see the provided solution. So copy the code there, paste it here, run it, it's working. So we got positive sum and negative sum, and okay. So instead of here, interesting, when the number or the item is 0, it's gonna pass. So pass is something just like pass or do nothing, skip to next one. That's interesting to know. And then if it's negative, we just add it in to negative, and it is positive, we just add it in positive. So it's the same but a little bit variation solution. So you can see both solution and you can learn from it, and maybe you can make your own solution as well. So that is in place operators. That's interesting, and that's used a lot in Python scripting. Sorting a list into buckets. So here we got a string. So here we got a method called start with. So the method start with will help us to detect if the string is start with something. That is useful, like if you have something like this, and this one, the start with function is case sensitive. So in here, if we put in something like this, we're gonna get false because as here is not the same as here. Okay, so in this section, this is a part of the section, we got a pretty interesting challenge to do. So in our data folder here's a folder, data folder. We got large data sets are stored in files whose name start with inflammation there, and small data sets in files whose name start with small. We also have some other files that we do not care about at this point. So we would like to break all these files into 3 lists called large files, small files, and other files respectively. So in order to do that, we're gonna use start with, and here's the instruction. We can use the following Python code as our starting point. So we can copy that and put in here. Okay, so we got file name is something like that, and we separate file name into there, and our solution should look like this. We should loop over the name of the files. So we can choose this. We can use this as our pseudocode. So pseudocode here we got first we got loop over the names of the files, then we figure out which group each file name belong in, and then we append the file name to that list, and in the end the 3 lists should be like this. I didn't have my script in that folder, so probably I'm gonna create a new file called text file, and name is like just empty txt1.txt for the first file. So I got an empty one there, create a new one, text file, and I'm gonna put it as 2, just to have 2 more files for my example. Okay, so let's do it. Firstly, we'll loop over the file names of the file, loop over all the file names of the file. So firstly, we're gonna list all file inside data folder. After doing that, and think so, I'm gonna list all file inside data folder, and then we look over the file name of the file, and if the file name start with something like inflammation, add them to last file list. Similar, if the file start with something as small, we'll add it to small file list. And if the file name start with something else, we just add them to what we call other files, uncategory. So from the beginning here, we need to create empty list to hold the result. So we do that, add in that, and the end we should get that one. So let's do it one by one now. So in order to list all the files inside a folder, we need to import glob, and then we can call file name is equal to glob.glob, and we just put in, I think, asterisk there, and now we can print our file name to test it. So after we run it, we see that we found, and we can also print in file name as well. So we got we print out. So we found that 10 file is found. So here you see that it lists this current working directory. So the first thing I need to do is I need to change my current working directory into data folder as well. So how can I do that in Python? I need to import OS, and because I know that I'm in this folder, because the current working directory folder. So let's say print os.get current working directory. So the current working directory is this folder, which is here, but my data is inside data. So I'm gonna use OS module to change the current working directory to data. So I just call os ch that, and I'm going to put in something like this. I'm going to just put in data, and now I can print the current working directory out. So now my current working directory is data, and now it found that there are, so I'm going to put it from the beginning to make it less confusing. And so this need to be one time only, like that. So now I can test that, so I can know that my current working directory is in data already, and then this script is gonna help me to find 11 files inside there. So now I get a list of all the files inside data. So the next step is I'm gonna create empty list to hold results. So in order to do that, I'm gonna just copy this and put it there. So I create a new list called last file to hold all the last files, small file to hold all the small files, and other files to hold all other files. So I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna looping through all the files in the folder, which is for file name in file names, and I'm gonna make an if file name dot start with. Now I'm gonna use the function that we learned from here. Start with. If file name start with because file name it's actually a string, so it start with interesting that. So I could just start with that, and something like, I like to use single quotes inflammation, because I know here inflammation. I can even copy like that, put in here. If that happen, I'm gonna get last file and append that file name inside that, and else if similar here. So I just copy the whole and change it to else if, and the file name is start with, in this case is small. I'm gonna put in small files list, and else I'm gonna put it in else. Yeah, I'm gonna put just append it into file name. So I'm gonna put it in here to make it easier to understand. So it should be inside here, and else if it should be inside here, and else it should be inside here. And finally, I'm gonna print the list or the list out. I think so. So now I'm going to just print out the large file list. I'm going to print out the small file list, and I'm going to print out the other file list. I got problem because string object have no attribute start with. That's interesting because the keyword is not right. I'm going to choose that again. So abc dot start with a2. So I'm gonna convert it into a string, probably in a better. So instead of using that, I'm gonna string that one. It's not working as well. String object had no attribute start with. Starts with. Okay, so it's a spelling stop. That's good to know. Starts with. Starts with. We got it. So now we got. We can print out here. Print out the large. This is small, and here we can print out other. So we got current working directory, number of the file, large is here, small is here, and other is here. So that is my solution, and let's see the solution provided. So we got it sounds like it's simpler than me. So it like got if file name start with information, small, L other append file name. So but it's similar. So if we run that, and we got similar result. Next is counting vowels. So we got another challenge here. We need to write a loop that counts the number of vowels in a character string. So we have input string, which is maybe ABC, for example, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that one. Test it on a few individual words and full sentences. Once you're done, compare solution with your neighbor. Do you make the same decision about how to handle the vowel, which some people think is a vowel and some do not? Okay, interesting. So I'm gonna write, so it's character string. So we got a character string, and we write so for character in. So we got create a character vowel. We create a list that hold all the vowel. So for character in input string, so we got if character.
So if character is equal to a, or I'm gonna have a bunch of them, just a bunch of them, or O, or U, or I, what else, or E, A, U, O, A, I. Yeah, that's for now. So for me, Y is not a vowel. I'm gonna add it into the list, append character, and finally I'm gonna print out the length of vowel, and I'm gonna print out vowel. So we got the length of the vowel is 20 vowel in this string, and I got this is vowel each file. So that one solution. Actually we can choose different solution. Let's see the provided solution. So that interesting.
So the solution here is using count, and my solution is just adding the vowels inside a list, and then we count the length of the list. It's different solution, so it's interesting, and so you can learn from different solution like this. So I can explain a bit more on the solution provided. So we make the count 0, and whenever the character is vowels. Oh, that's interesting. I think that's interesting because the solution provided is using vowel is defined here. So yeah, we can learn something from there. And then we just make the count and then we print it out. That's interesting. Yeah. So that's it, and here we can review the key points of the section. So I'm coming back there. Here also we got the key points there. So again, if condition is useful in Python scripting. If we want to compare equality, we used double equal sign. We can use or and put in the condition with if, and we understand what is true and what is false for certain examples. So that's it. I'm gonna close it now. Come back there. I'm gonna close it now. So we're done for section 7. And the next section we want to look at how to create functions.